Milica, thank you so much for being with me today, all the way from Australia. So this is exciting, and we haven't seen each other since what, 2012, I think. That's the last.
2012, 9 years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's been so long. And you've been in recruitment since you left us in Australia. So I want to talk a little bit about your experience with us at BlueSky, but also, I'm sure you're going to add some of your own experience that you've had with these agencies. So let me ask you, how did working for BlueSky help with your current career?
Um, well, it started the whole things, and it's definitely the story that most recruiters have of I fell into it. So I I did my degree in communication studies and psychology, and then I decided to travel a little around Australia, and then my plan was to go back to Canada and do my master's in counseling. So the program wasn't going to start for a little bit. So I was like, let me just get a job, like an admin role or whatever. I applied for a few positions, and when you called me, I remember telling you later, I had no idea what I had applied for. So when I quickly looked up BlueSky, I was, oh my God, it's an agency. I don't even know what that means. Like, did I apply for another role through this agency? So interviewing with you, I was like, I didn't even realize until halfway through like what I was interviewing for. And then I was like, oh my God, I think it's for like a job here. So definitely fell into it. And then that's kind of where I learned everything. It started everything. I learned recruitment from the beginning and learned all the basics and a lot of things that I still like carry with me now, a lot of things. And also I think at the time, you were mainly doing admin, customer service roles, and then you had a few clients be like, do you want to do some of the IT roles? And you were like, do you want to try? And I was like, I'll do anything, I'll try everything. So that's kind of what started it, and I've been specializing in tech recruitment since.
Yeah,
So,
and I think even when you left us, when you went to Australia, one of our clients knew you were going and they contacted you, right?
yes. So I recruited for them for 7 years here in Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah, it literally started everything for me and was very helpful in every way.
Yeah, but that's good because I remember with that particular client, they had asked us to recruit for them in Australia because you knew so much. You had lived there, you were with us now in Canada, but it wasn't really working. So when they found out that you were moving officially to Australia, they said, let's give her a call. It's going to be perfect. But it worked out. You know what? I'm happy because that client really appreciated the work that you had done,
Yes.
here working at BlueSky, but then you took that work with you over in Australia. So that it's kind of the best example of how good you were in your job for the client to follow you
Yes.
all the way there. So it's always a good sign, right?
Yes.
So what did you enjoy the most while you worked with us?
I think just the variety of experience that I got there. I think I really got to touch on everything. I got to do the admin stuff, the resourcing side, the business development side, the account management side, absolutely everything. So I really got the full picture of what recruitment is. So I wasn't really surprised, going other places. It's not like I just did one part of it and was like, I know everything. I really feel like I got to really, do all the little bits and pieces, which I really loved. And I really enjoyed working with you because to this day, I think you're still one of the best recruiters I've ever seen.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
like, you really are like your business development skills. I literally have never seen anyone do the way you did it, and I'm not even close. And just your like, I can't think of the word, your like diligence. Discipline, yes, your discipline is like second to none. So I feel like a lot of that yeah, it's still in my mind. And I watched some of your little videos, of your little tips and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like, yes, I remember all those things. You still do them and they still work. You know, it's things that it's just what makes you a good recruiter. Something that I got from you, I never leave the day, like my inbox is always empty at the end of the day. Always, always. And I've never seen anyone do that. Here, you know, everyone keeps all their emails forever. There's 8 billion in their inbox. And if I have like 6, it stresses me out. Like I'm stressed out. So I either need to respond by the end of the day, or I need to put them in my folders. I need to know I'll be responding in the morning, whatever it is. So that's something I definitely, because I remember starting, I like be at your computer. I'm like, why do you have nothing in your, where's your stuff? Where are all your emails? So yeah, always empty by the end of the day. Also, I am also very diligent now about putting notes in the system, which I also got from you. So always, always notes in the system. The first company I went into here in Australia, I was not as process driven, and I was just like I need to, like, I was like notes,
Really?
notes. Yeah, it was very, I need the notes because I need to know what's going on. And then, and especially works different way because I'm working in bigger teams and you're sharing candidates or whatever it is, and it was just like, oh my God, I just called this person, but you just called this person and you didn't put the notes in the system, and now it's awkward because now we're both calling the person, and so I've always been into the notes. My second company, super process driven, beyond process driven, so I was definitely like, okay, I know what's going on. So yeah, definitely still all about the notes in the system. And then probably it's not really something I learned, I guess something I like and is kind of the way I work is that you work, it's not transactional, it's very relationship driven, and it's all about the long term. So I always kind of keep that in my mind, and that's how I like to work. So even if I'm panicking because nothing's happening for a while, especially now I'm in a new role, starting a new desk, I have no clients, I have no nothing, I'm just like, no, it's fine. It's about the long game. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are just some of the things.
But this is interesting that you mentioned about not the transactional, because we're not a BlueSky, and I still want to maintain this, that it's not about transactional. If
Yeah.
I'm going to make a quick placement and never hear from this client ever again, this is the worst that could happen to me. I'm looking for that long-term relationship.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you still remember that,
Yeah.
because I'm not just here for a quick buck. And I think that's why some of our clients, they're still with me today. After
Yes.
20 years, they're still with me because I don't treat them as just, I just want to make a quick placement. Do you have anything that you remember that was memorable at the time that made us laugh, that maybe I don't remember that story again?
It was funny, but it was very memorable to me. So this was, we were having a time and you were like, okay, we all have to do BD calls. And I was like, oh my God, I'm scared. So I made my first client meeting, and it was with Blockbuster. And
Yes,
it was with,
I remember that.
yeah, so it was with, I think if she was the HR manager or the recruitment manager, but I was so excited. And we went there and we were talking with her. And then I was like, oh, you know, I worked at Blockbuster for 3 years. I was a shift leader there. And she was like, I'm so impressed that you didn't use that on the phone, to use that as like to get a meeting. She's like, I'm really impressed with that. So inside I was like, yay. And then I don't know how she said it, but she was pretty much like, I knew the second you walked in, again, I don't know how she worded it, but the second you walked in, I could tell that you were a recruiter. And at the time, that was like the biggest compliment I had ever heard in my life. I was like, oh my God, like a professional.
You mentioned about me trusting you, and I find that it's really important for a manager to show trust to their employees, because that's how they can grow and learn. You know, if you don't get to experience, I call it, you need mileage to be able to get to the destination. So if I don't give you that opportunity and babysit you constantly, you're not going to get there. So for me to show that I trust people, I think they grow much more than if I shadow everything that they do, right? But I think the person, on the other hand, like yourself, I could see that you were trustable, if it's the word, but it's something that I could just give it to you and I knew it was going to get done.
Yeah.
You know, so it goes both ways, but I think giving that opportunity to someone, it's really important to let them go, you know, in their career, right?
I think to this day, that's kind of the best way I work with a manager. And it's always been that way, where I like to be left to do it on my own, but the person's open for me to ask questions, because you trust me, but you're always there for me to ask questions. And I'm still exactly the same.
Yeah.
But also in my last role, I, you know, kind of mentor managed people as well. And that's kind of become my style as well, where I'm like, just do it. Don't ask me like, just do it. And if you make a mistake, I'll tell you made a mistake. I'm not going to be mad at you, but you don't have to check everything and be scared or whatever. Just do it. And if you make a mistake, well, you know, you'll learn by doing it. So yeah.
What made you most proud of when you worked at BlueSky?
You know, you have clients now that have worked with you for 20 years. At the time, it was 10 years. And I remember being like, how is this like a thing? Like, it's such a small boutique company. How do you have such loyal clients that are still working with you 10 years later? Like, I remember that just being like it was just shocking. I mean, seeing how you work, seeing how passionate you are about like the quality of your work and the quality of the service you provide, I got it. And that kind of made me feel like, okay. And also another thing I always remember, because you were so confident in like our services, that I remember, you know, you'd have clients be like, I don't want to pay this, or I want to lower the rates, or I want to do this and this and this. And you would be like, well, this is like, nope, this is, you know, you're paying for this. You were so confident in it. And you'd be like, okay, well, go somewhere else. And I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe you were like, they'll be back. And they would. And that happened a couple of times. And I'm like, I can't believe they called back. I was like, how did they just not go to another agency? But that showed like, you know, the service you provided and the niche. I mean, you know, the bilingual, it's a niche little market, and provide like a good service. So yeah, that all made me proud to work there.
If you were to recommend BlueSky to someone who works in recruitment, what would you tell them?
You get to touch on everything. It's not just one little piece of recruitment, it's everything. So you would really get a good sense of whether, as you said, you either like it or you don't like it. I would also say that they would be working with one of the best, because I mean, I still, to this day, I've worked with some amazing people. I work with some amazing people now, but you know, you're still kind of one of the main people I have in my head of, you know, some of the best ways to do things in recruitment.